Welcome to the online service of the Roslyn Hill Unitarian Chapel, an open-minded spiritual community in the heart of Hampstead, North London, this Sunday, January 10th, 2021. And I'm Michael Macy, a trustee of the chapel, standing in for the Reverend Kate Dean. We light the chalice as a symbol of our liberal religious faith. May this flame guide us through difficult times and illuminate our celebrations. May our time together be a comfort. May we find peace in times of tumult. May we find calm in times of restlessness. Let this time be when you consider what you've never considered before. Let this be when you imagine for yourself something new and unthinkable. May this time bring dreams of new ways of being in the world. Come, let us worship together. As treasurer of the chapel board, I'm very aware of how our community supports this congregation with time, skills, and resources. These donations allow us to thrive, and on behalf of the community, I would like to ask for your continuing support. We will post on the screen sites to which you can donate. As we are an independent community, we're dependent on the support of all of our members and participants. The first reading is called We Imagine a Path by D. Scott Cooper with some edits. We bow our heads in order to imagine not one path, but many. We imagine a path forward for those who cannot imagine any path forward because of poor health, financial hardship, family crisis, and other roadblocks we cannot begin to understand or imagine. We struggle to imagine a path forward for those who are forced to leave a homeland against their will, and for those unable to leave a war-torn homeland despite their lives being in danger. We imagine a path forward for those who leave their homes to make a better life for their families elsewhere. May we be a welcoming presence along that path toward hope. We come together to imagine a path forward for those of us despairing because we do not seem to know our country nor our neighbors despite the fact that we've not moved at all. We come together to imagine a time when the health of the planet is restored, the pandemic has ended, and we are once again free to be together. May we be the good we're hoping to find as we travel side by side down the path toward hope. We imagine a path forward for those who feel lonely during this time of isolation. May we reach out to one another as we walk that path toward community. Truly, we know as we imagine these ways forward and take one another's hands, the path will lead to hope, the roads will lead to beloved community, and the arc will bend toward justice because we have dared to travel with love in our hearts. We now join together to be inspired by music, to imagine pathways of joy and peace peace. Please join in the hymn. The lyrics are provided in the weekly notice. Thank you. Now, during this next piece of music, I'd like you to use the time to do two things. One is imagine three things that you could do immediately after the service that would bring you joy. Again, as you listen to the music, think about three things you could do right away, as soon as the service is over, that would bring you joy. And then I would ask you to imagine three things that you could do today, before the day ends, that would bring joy to someone else. Again, imagine doing those three things that you know would bring joy to someone else. So again, I invite you to use this time of music to enjoy your own imaginations and how they can be used to bring joy to yourselves and to other people. Thank you. Well, that was very beautiful, and I'd like to thank John Evans, who's our musical director, who's providing all of the music for today's service. And also, I hope you've all been able to imagine the 6 things that you could do. 3 immediately after the service that you would enjoy, and 3 things that you could do before the end of the day. As you may have guessed, the theme for the service today is imagination. And looking ahead using our imagination. Because what we imagine is who we become. And what we imagine is what we create. As the week began with our latest lockdown, I began to imagine what life will be like when we're able to move freely, walk down city streets again, stopping in anywhere that catches our attention. What we would cook to feed guests when our houses open up again, and how it will feel to run into friends on the street and exchange hugs. Then Wednesday, when it seemed like the very foundations of the U.S. were under threat, I was faced with a dramatic example of the dark potential of imagination. Thousands of people attacked the U.S. Capitol because of the power of their fantasies, their belief in imagined threats from an imaginary conspiracy for which there is no proof. It was a stark lesson in how imaginations create the world we live in, for both good and bad. How, if we imagine that immigrants are taking our jobs, we view all refugees as a threat and retreat into a fortress mentality. That if we imagine that everyone of a different color, sexual orientation, or political position is somehow an existential challenge, we will condone attacks against them. For as Voltaire said, those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. And yet our imaginations are also the way to open doors to a better future. We have a choice of how to use our imagination. For example, I took some comfort this week in imagining what life could be if people come together and work to find solutions to real problems. Those imaginings helped me get through the week, creating events that will never happen the way I imagined them, but nevertheless are a source of strength and hope. And then I started to think about what a great gift is our imagination. Whatever we are began in our imagination. We knew someone who practiced a particular profession or read about them, and then imagined what it would be like to do that thing. As Jesse Jackson said, we can't be what we can't see, to which I would add, we can become what we can imagine. We heard stories about people's adventures and imagined traveling, and that image is enough to motivate us to leave home for new places, even though they are always different from how we imagined them to be. Everything we do begins in our imagination, and our ability to influence things is only limited by our lack of imagination. As the writer Neil Gaiman noted, we all, adults and children, writers and readers, have an obligation to daydream. We have an obligation to imagine. It's easy to pretend that nobody can change anything, that we are in a world in which society is huge and the individual is less than nothing, an atom in a wall, a grain of rice in a rice field. But the truth is, individuals change their world over and over. Individuals make the future. And they do it by imagining that things can be different. And he continued, look around you. I mean it. Pause for a moment and look around the room that you're in. I'm going to point out something so obvious that it tends to be forgotten. It's this: that everything you can see, including the walls, was at some point imagined. Someone decided it was easier to sit on a chair than on the ground and imagined the chair. Someone had to imagine a way that I could talk to you in London right now without us all getting rained on. This room and the things in it and the other things in this building, this city, exist because over and over and over people imagined things. Thank you, Neil. This is as true for the spiritual path as it is for the physical world. Often, the first steps are imaginary. Everything begins with imagination. It is the imagined result that inspires us to make the effort. It is the imagined arriving at our destination that is the first step of every journey, the first stirrings of a quest, the commencement of any pilgrimage. When we begin, we imagine that there are elements of life in addition to the physical. We may read something or meet someone and are inspired to imagine other dimensions of experience. As we begin to believe in them, we develop faith, and hope grows, so we start to search for them. And as happens sometimes, we lose our way. We may be frightened or confused, our faith challenged and our hope depleted. But then our imagination provides us with images and stories of what else could be. So we pick up our bindle stiffs of dreams, aspirations, and vague memories of innocence from childhood, and start to search again. And along the way, we are blessed with moments of bliss, glimpses behind the veil of conditioning, flashes of deep joy, and moments of love. And while they are never as we imagined them, no more than Paris is ever what we expected, subtle yet sublime, they are enough to inspire new imaginings of greater detail and depth. And we continue on, our faith strengthened, our hope renewed. And anything imaginable is possible. As Rolling Thunder, a Native American healer, said, because if you believe in something and believe in it long enough, it will come into being. We are created by the Great One to accomplish her will through our mental pictures or visions. Our thoughts are three-dimensional: words, pictures, and feelings. We create the vision by thinking the words, and we create feeling for the vision by feeling enthusiasm, desire, commitment, and other strong beliefs. Once we create the vision, we move forward and become like that which we think about. And all visions are tested by our self-talk. For example, this isn't going to happen. Where's the money coming from anyway? When this happens, we need to let go of the test and focus on belief of the vision. Why? Because God said if we believe it long enough, she will guarantee it. And Rolling Thunder finished with this prayer. Great One, let my beliefs be strong today. Help me to have faith in my visions. And often, the unbelievable yet imaginable become reality. It was the imagination of freedom dreamt by generations who had never known liberty that led to the struggle which resulted in the freedom of generations yet unborn. It was the imagining of a world where everybody had health care that led to the NHS. Our future and that of the planet will be determined by what we imagine today. Looking ahead sets the stage for the next act. As Einstein said, imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. If we desire peace, imagine a peaceful world. If we long for plenty for all, imagine a generous and equitable future. If we hope for a healthy planet, imagine a world of clean air, pure water, and an earth that is cherished. Now, as we prepare to leave this digital sanctuary, please join me now to pray to whoever or whatever you may look to for inspiration. The divine being idealized by all of humanity, the grandmother of all stories, the muse, the prophets, known and unknown, who held aloft the light of truth, the great spirit, the beauty of nature. Grant us the gift of imagining great things, images of love, harmony, and beauty, and the faith and hope to make them real. Thank you. And peace be upon you. May you walk in peace, and may your lives and all whom you love be filled with peace, good health, and joy. Now, may you bless each other, receiving and giving, and may all beings be well. May all beings be happy. Peace, peace, peace. Thanks very much. I'd also like to thank Shana Begum, who is behind the scenes engineering this event, this service, making sure that everything gets out to you as clearly and as audibly as possible, and John Evans for the beautiful music that he's provided for us. If you'd like to continue this conversation, you can join us in the virtual side aisle, and we'll start at 12 noon. The Zoom link is in the notice. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful, beautiful, and joyful week.